វេលានេះយើងមានឱកាសសារជាថ្មីមកជួបប្រិមិត្តក្នុងបទសម្ភាសន៍មួយរវាងអ្នកធ្វើការក្នុងសង្គមប្រទេសអូស្ត្រាលីមួយរូបគឺជនជាតិអូស្ត្រាលីគឺលោកស្រី Alexandra McGee ហើយមុននឹងជួបគាត់សូមប្រិមិត្តកំសាន្តចម្រៀងជូនពរមួយបទសិនចំពោះបងប្អូនណាដែលមិនទាន់បានជួបគ្នាក្នុងរយៈពេលចូលឆ្នាំនេះបទចម្រៀងបទនេះគឺសូមជូនពរចូលឆ្នាំខ្មែរចំពោះបងប្អូនខ្មែរយើងទូទាំងពិភពលោកតែម្ដងហើយដូច្នោះកំសាន្តចម្រៀងមួយបទសិនប្រិមិត្ត
ជូនពរថ្លៃបបរពីសែងជោគជ័យជំនះដល់ខ្មែរប្រុសស្រីគ្រប់ទិដ្ឋានទួងនៅចិត្តឆ្ងាយក្តីជួបសុខសួស្តីសេរីមង្គល
មានរិទ្ធបារមីទេវតាឆ្នាំថ្មីសំឡងជួយផ្ដល់ភាពរុងរឿងចាំផុតពីកង្វល់ខ្មែរគ្រប់មុនដល់បានសង្សារបាយជួយកំចាត់សត្រូវទាំងប៉ុន្មានពីគ្រប់ទិដ្ឋានឲ្យរលាយខ្មែរបានសុខរស់ក្នុងផ្កាសបាយទឹកចិត្តរីករាយអស់រឿងប្រឆាកំសាន្តតាមចម្រៀងបទថ្មីក្រុមតារាថ្មីសកលរពលីវិលមកជួបដល់ទឹកចិត្តស្មងសចម្រៀងបន្តរៀបទំនុកថ្មីជូនពរថ្លៃបបរសួស្តីជាតិខ្មែរប្រុសស្រីមានចិត្តជ្រះថ្លាស្រឡាញ់ជាតិវប្បធម៌និងសាសនាមរតកដូនតាពងសាវតាយើង
បាទប្រិមិត្តដូច្នោះជាងមកជួបភ្ញៀវកិត្តិយសរបស់យើងក្នុងវេលានេះហើយដូចខ្ញុំបានជម្រាបបំបញ្ញមិញគឺលោកស្រីជាជនជាតិអូស្ត្រាលីមួយរូបឈ្មោះ Alexandra McGee អញ្ចឹងមកជួបគាត់ទាំងអស់គ្នា Hello Alex ជម្រាបសួរ Hang on សូមទោសប្រិមិត្តអត់ទាន់ឮសំឡេង Alex, can you hear me there?
I can hear you. How are you?
Good. ជំរាបសួរសុខសប្បាយ You know ជំរាបសួរ in Khmer?
I don't.
No, I guess none of Cambodian never told you before.
No, they haven't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyway, Alex, I'll pop your picture up on Facebook. Pretty much, Alex, so I'll be talking both English and Khmer. If you don't, as you know, mainly our audience are Cambodian.
No problem.
ប្រិមិត្តសូមចាំមួយផ្លែតខ្ញុំដាក់រូប Alex ឲ្យឃើញមានរូបបើខ្លាចមិនច្បាស់ប្រិមិត្តខ្ញុំដាក់បង្ហាញរូបថតគាត់តែម្ដងThere, you like this one, Alex?
Yeah, that's me and my daughter.
Yeah.
When we went to do the climate march.
What did you do in this picture?
It was the Students' March for Climate Activism a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay. For the global warming, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the huge one in Adelaide. There were about, I think, 15,000 people there. So I went down with my daughter. That's why we've got the green T-shirts on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So are you the green supporter, are you?
Yeah, I'm very much focused on the environment and the future and how to protect our young children from what could go wrong if we don't pay attention to climate change.
Right. Very good. Very good. Yeah, we all can feel all the warming weather, isn't it? Like each year.
Yeah. But I think there are things that we can do. And even if it's only little things like recycling and using public transport, I think it's important to support it and to try and teach our children that they can have a part rather than say we can't do anything, so let's not do anything. Let's all try a little something.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, let's get started. ប្រិមិត្តដូចខ្ញុំបានជម្រាបអាឡិចគាត់ជាអ្នកធ្វើការងារសង្គមមួយរូបជានៅក្នុងរដ្ឋអូស្ត្រាលីខាងត្បូងហើយបន្តិចទៀតយើងនឹងជជែកជាមួយគាត់អំពីកិច្ចសម្ភាសថ្ងៃនេះគឺផ្ដោតទៅលើរឿងការវគ្គសិក្សាខ្លីមួយសម្រាប់ប្រជាជនពីសង្គមវប្បធម៌ឬក៏អង់គ្លេសហៅ call community គឺភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំហើយដូច្នោះAlex គាត់មានគោលការណ៍3សំខាន់ថ្ងៃនេះដើម្បីគាត់បកស្រាយជូនប្រិយមិត្តជាពិសេសគឺបងប្អូនយើងដែលរស់នៅក្នុងទីក្រុង Adelaide តែម្ដង So Alex, if we could start with your introduction of yourself and then we go on to our purpose of today's interview. Start off with your introduction.
So my name is Alex. I was born in Adelaide. I grew up in England and I've spent my career as an English language teacher, teaching English in Asia, in North Africa, in the Middle East and in Europe. And I came back to Adelaide about 4.5 years ago, and I was lucky enough to get involved in community development. And although I've been doing community development for about 2.5 years now through Welcoming Australia, I'm now back in a teaching role. So I'm a learning advisor at the International College of Hotel Management here in Adelaide at the moment.
Okay.
But in my part-time, my kind of volunteering role is still with community development.
So how long did you say you've been here? Your background is English. You're an English teacher. And how long have you been in Adelaide now, all together?
4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Yeah, so 2 years as a child, 2 years in my 30s, and 4.5 years now. So in total, 8.5 years.
So back and forth for a little while, did you?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Okay. And currently you're doing the learning advisor, your role as a learning advisor.
Yeah.
At the College of Hospitality.
College of Hotel Management, yes, here in Adelaide.
Yeah, hotel management, sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Alex, if I could have a few minutes and translate that to our audience, and then we just continue our conversation.
Sure.
Yep. ប្រិមិត្តអ្នកស្រី Alex គាត់សប្តាហ៍ថ្ងៃគឺការងាររបស់គាត់ធ្វើនៅសាលារៀនគេហៅអ្នកប្រឹក្សាខាងការរៀនសូត្ររៀនជាមុខវិជ្ជាវគ្គខ្លីគឺ skill សម្រាប់ចូលទៅធ្វើការងារបដ ாய் គឺគេហៅ learning advisor at the នៅសាលារៀនគេហៅ College of Hotel did you say
Hotel Management
ហ្នឹងហើយអញ្ចឹង Alex គាត់បង្រៀនអំពីរឿងការគ្រប់គ្រងសន្តាគារហ្នឹងហើយសន្តាគារជាពិសេសសន្តាគារតែម្ដងហើយគាត់ក៏ពីដើមឡើយក៏គាត់ធ្លាប់ធ្វើគ្រូបង្រៀនភាសាអង់គ្លេសដែរភាសាអង់គ្លេសហើយគាត់ ចេញចូលប្រទេសអូស្ត្រាលីគាត់ដើមកំណើតជាជនជាតិអង់គ្លេសទេប៉ុន្តែគាត់មកនៅអូស្ត្រាលីមួយរយៈពេលដែរការគាត់នៅពីទូចហើយពីអាយុ30ជាងក៏គាត់ត្រឡប់ក៏គាត់ទៅអង់គ្លេសហើយក៏គាត់បានត្រឡប់មកប្រទេសអូស្ត្រាលីវិញ30ជាងហ្នឹងហើយដល់ឥឡូវគាត់មកនៅអូស្ត្រាលីជាអចិន្ត្រៃយ៍តែម្ដងSo Alex, currently you're living in Australia or South Australia permanently now?
Yeah, don't know.
Are you an Australian citizen yet?
Yeah. I've always been an Australian citizen because I was born here.
Oh, you were born here?
Yeah.
You were born here up to 2 years old when you left Australia, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
My father was in the Royal Air Force and he was sent over to Australia from the UK. And my mother came as well. They had me. And when I was 2, he got sent back to the UK. So that's why I grew up in the UK. And as a young person, I didn't have the money to come back to Australia. So when I was in my late 20s, I got an opportunity to get an Australian passport and to come back to Australia, which is what I did.
So that's why you came back in your 30s.
Yeah. Actually, yes. So I came back in my 20s for a year. Then I came back again in my 30s and bought a house. And then I came back 4.5 years ago. So yeah, about 9 years of my life I've spent in Australia.
Okay.
So I have an English accent. I don't have an Australian accent.
I know you lived there for so long, from 2 years old till about 30 or
No. I left England when I was 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like staying in one place for too long.
All right. But you're there long enough to pick up the accent, I would imagine.
Yeah. And it's never going.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for your bit of your background. Let's get into the main topic today. So, Alex, and I know you've been training, leadership program for Cole community, particularly for the young people aging from 18 to about 30 years old for the last 3 or 4 years or so. Am I right?
Yes. Maybe 3 years.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about that, and then we can go on to this year's training, which you have some important information to tell us. So tell us about the leadership training in the past.
So I worked for Welcoming Australia, and they were given a grant by the state government to set up a leadership program to increase social cohesion in South Australia and to give leadership skills to young people from CALD communities. And that leadership for us involved team building, strengths training, event planning and management, fundraising, grant work, grant writing, public speaking, confidence building, community, research, like working out what your community is, working out how to connect with your community and working out what your community actually needs. But the beauty of the program was we had 16 young people from different communities, and they were all mentored by people from different communities again. So although we had 16 people on the program, we reached directly 32 different people through our mentors who learned the stories, the struggles, the joys of the young people, and then we're able to kind of channel that out further into the community. So across the year, our participants did fundraising. They worked on some big community events, and they learned how to work in a multicultural team, which was invaluable. And then when we ran the program the second time, some of those young people came back as the mentors for the next round of young people from refugee and migrant communities. And so with COVID, the second round didn't just go for 12 months, it went for 18 months because we stopped in the middle because of COVID. So the latest cohort finished in September last year. And that coincided with our funding running out.
Sure. Okay, so the first program was funded by the state government, did you say?
Yes. And then we got funding from the federal government for a very small part of the second program. The first program was fully funded by state. The second program was very partially funded by federal. And actually towards the end, when the money had gone, I was working as a consultant rather than as a full-time job on the program and needed to get my current job. So I couldn't actually survive just doing the consultancy work. So I was working full-time last year and doing this on the weekends.
Okay, let me translate a bit to our audience.
I'll let you know if your Cambodian's not good enough.
ប្រិមិត្តអញ្ចឹងអ្នកស្រី Alexandra មិនជំរាបយើងថានៅក្នុងរដ្ឋអូស្ត្រាលីខាងត្បូងនេះគាត់បានគាត់បើកវគ្គបង្រៀនសិក្សាភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំសម្រាប់សហគមន៍ផ្សេងៗហ្នឹងគឺ2វគ្គបាទមួយវគ្គទី1ហ្នឹងគឺឆ្នាំកន្លង2ឆ្នាំកន្លងផុតទៅនេះគឺវគ្គទី1ហើយកាលហ្នឹងគឺបានរដ្ឋាភិបាលក្នុងរដ្ឋអូស្ត្រាលីខាងត្បូងហ្នឹងបានជួយជំនួយសម្រាប់បើកវគ្គសិក្សាហ្នឹងហើយកូនសិស្សហ្នឹងមាន16នាក់មាន16នាក់ហ្នឹងគឺបង្រៀនអំពីភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំហ្នឹងសម្រាប់ដូចថាតើគាត់ត្រូវតំណែងតំណងជាមួយរដ្ឋាភិបាលមិនតើសង្គមគាត់ត្រូវការអីដូចថាត្រូវការឲ្យរឿងការតស៊ូមតិក្តីគាត់នឹងអាចមានតួនាទីចេញមុខជួសអីចឹងណាហ្នឹងហើយហ្នឹងក៏ក្នុងការបង្រៀនហ្នឹងហើយនឹងការតំណែងតំណងជាសាធារណៈក្តីគឺអាហ្នឹងចំណុចសំខាន់ដែលដូចខ្ញុំគ្រាន់តែសង្ខេបអ្វីដែលគាត់បានលើកហ្នឹងហើយដល់វគ្គទី2ហ្នឹងក៏គាត់ចាប់ផ្ដើមបង្រៀនណាបានថវិកាពីរដ្ឋាភិបាលសហព័ន្ធគឺរដ្ឋាភិបាលអូស្ត្រាលីទាំងមូលហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែកាលហ្នឹងវាមានបញ្ហាខ្លះក្នុងការ COVID ហ្នឹងគឺឆ្នាំ2019 2020 The second round was 2019 2020 is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yep. And you had a bit of a problem because of the COVID.
Yeah, so we closed down.
But you were able to finish the program anyway, yeah?
Yeah, and we kept in touch via Zoom occasionally, but we weren't working on program skills. We were just like keeping the community supporting each other, really, because particularly from CALD communities who couldn't find out what was happening back home, who couldn't go and visit family and relatives back home, it was really tough.
Yeah. So the program is obviously it's free for the CALD communities. Yeah. And now, tell me, I know the first program you had a few of Cambodian students as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how did that go?
It went well. We had people from Afghan, Iraqi, Egyptian, some African communities, Bhutanese, Vietnamese, East Turkestan and Cambodian. I'm not sure if I've missed anybody out. And the idea was that once you finish school, you kind of go back into your own ethnic community and that's where you work. And you don't have opportunities to work across communities. And that's what this did. So, for example, on a Saturday, we would teach them how to do public speaking. And on a Sunday, they'd come back and we'd say, okay, so we learned about public speaking yesterday. What are you going to do with your public speaking? So one of the lovely things that our Cambodian participants did was to organize a poetry evening in the city. And so Supari brought along dancers. Wathnak told his leadership story and his plans. Arifa told poetry from Afghanistan. And Adila, she told some poetry from East Turkestan. And then we had an Australian guy talking about his experiences of multiculturalism. And it just brought lots of people from different communities together and just kind of all these ideas that were going off. It was absolutely lovely. And they did that. So they practiced public speaking, but also they were working together, team working. They were planning an event together. They were publicizing the event together. And all of that was done as a multicultural team. So nobody was thinking about which country they had come from or what background they were. They just had this goal and it was to do it together. And so our motto has always been stronger together. And the event worked because these different communities came together.
So one of the key features of the training is the public speaking. Did you say? Yeah. And one more. What's the second one?
Event planning and management.
Event planning and management. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. That's the most important tools. Both of them. Yeah.
So I mean, if you can do public speaking, you can tell your story, and once you can tell your story, you can change people's minds. If you can't find a venue to tell your story, then how are you going to change minds? So public speaking, telling your story and having an event, be it a workshop for community leaders or a poetry night or a quiz night or emceeing an event in Adelaide, all of those things are really key to leadership because they are helping people learn who you are, helping you develop your skills, but also your confidence, your resilience, and telling your story. And that's how you change minds.
Oh, yep. That's how you influence people as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just summarize that for people. ប្រិមិត្តមិញ Alex គាត់ជម្រាបអំពីគោលការណ៍នៃ ការវគ្គរៀនវគ្គសិក្សាអំពីភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំនេះគាត់ថាវគ្គទី1ហ្នឹងគឺ2018-2019 Alex, I want to get this right. The first program was 2018-2019. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. អញ្ចឹងវគ្គសិក្សាទី1គឺ2018-2019ហ្នឹងវាមួយឆ្នាំហ្នឹងណាគាត់ថាមិញហ្នឹងមានកូនសិស្សខ្មែរយើងចូលរួម2នាក់ដែរ2នាក់ហ្នឹងគឺមានម្នាក់គាត់ពេលគាត់កំពុងរៀនហ្នឹងគេឲ្យធ្វើ project មួយគឺគាត់និយាយជាសាធារណៈឡើងលើឆាកនិយាយជាសាធារណៈនិយាយសាច់រឿងប្រាប់សាច់រឿងខ្សែជីវិតក្តីអាហ្នឹងមួយទៅហើយមួយទៀតមានកូនសិស្សខ្មែរយើងម្នាក់គាត់រៀនអំពីចាត់ចែងកម្មវិធីអីដូចថាគាត់ទៅSafari ចំពោះបងប្អូននៅក្នុងទីក្រុង Adelaide គឺស្គាល់ Safari ហើយSafari បានចាត់ចែងជាកម្មវិធីមានអ្នករបាំអញ្ចឹង Safari គាត់ចាត់ចែងកម្មវិធីទាំងទំនាក់ទំនងថាទៅតាក់ទងអ្នកណាដើម្បីយកអ្នករបាំមកសម្ដែងជូនគេអាហ្នឹងគឺទាំងនេះគឺជាគេហៅជាកិច្ចសារៈសំខាន់មួយជាបង្ហាញជាការរៀនសូត្រនៃភាពដឹកនាំបានន័យថាយើងត្រូវចេះចាត់ចែងកម្មវិធីឬក៏យើងចេះឡើងនិយាយលើទីសាធារណៈនិយាយទៅកាន់ភ្ញៀវកិត្តិយសក្តីនិយាយរាយរាប់ប្រាប់សាច់រឿងអ្វីមួយអាហ្នឹងជាសិតតែជាចំណុចនៃការរៀនសូត្រខ្លាយជាភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំ Yep, Alex, now let's if we can go on your second program basically I would imagine very similar to the first program but you had a big issue but you managed to complete the training anyway tell us a bit about the second program.
So the second program we only had a quarter of the funding that was available for the first one. So very quickly it became clear that we couldn't do the program the same way. It meant I had to find another job, which I was very lucky to do. But it also meant that we were able to get more volunteers on board. So a lot of our training was community people that wanted to donate their skills. So there was some training that we had to pay for. So the person that delivered public speaking, the person that taught them how to use social media, that we had to pay for. But when we wanted to teach them how to do grant writing, somebody put their hand up and said, I do grant writing in my everyday job. Let me come and teach them how to do it. Or what was another one? Event planning and management. So we had an event manager come along and show them how to do event planning and management. And as a teacher, I could deliver a lot of the training myself. And each month we would have a leader come in and present their story. So a leader from an NGO or from business or from politics. And then in March last year, COVID meant that we had to close for a few months. So we didn't do training, I think, April, May and June. We kept in touch. And then in July we met again and we started planning the graduation exhibition, which was a photography exhibition that we launched in September as part of the graduation. So after that, our participants were coming together to again manage an event, set it up, do the promotion, actually host and present the event, so public speaking there as well. And again, working as a team to organize everything from the food to the invitations to the VIPs to the photographers to the live stream. So yes, it was very challenging. 2020 was incredibly challenging, but we're out the other side. And we thought that the program would close in September with our graduation. But someone came forward and said, this program needs to continue. There is a continued need in the community for young people from CALD communities to get training and opportunities once they've left school. So that's why our program is targeted at 20 to 30-year-olds mainly, because there's lots of training available for people who are still at school and at university. But once you've hit 20 and going up to 30, there's very little available. So we have decided to target that group of people and use community volunteers, carefully curated, not just anybody can walk in and do training, but to ascertain what the young people need and deliver the training that they need. So the program is never exactly the same because we look at what the young people need and we bring the training to them. And so if there's an idea 1 month about what they need, then we'll put that in place for the following month. It doesn't mean, January we do this, February we do this. It's no, what do the young people need? And we will find it for them. And community support has been phenomenal, but it's not been financial support so far.
So what, in your opinion, I mean, out of these two training, the two programs that you've done, 2018, 2020, have you seen any like improvement in terms of the skill and the interaction with the community? You know, obviously these skills.
It's hard to compare. It's very hard to compare because it was two completely different groups and COVID. So each group have done phenomenally well. In the first group, we've had people that have gone into secure employment, secure housing, and further education. And in the second group, everybody stayed in work and got work even through COVID. And some people got work because of the program, because of the connections made. That's the other really important thing about this program, the networking connection. I'd forgotten to mention that before. You're getting connection, not just from your community, but across South Australia. And that's invaluable because, like I said, once you leave school or university, when do you start working again with people from different communities? What's the opportunity? And this is what this program has provided. So I can't compare the two programs. They were so different, and then COVID.
All right. But in terms of like, you see in them that there's potential for them able to lead or to get more involved in their community or their work environment. Do you see that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So particularly those who came back as mentors for the second program, they were able to be participants, and then they were able to develop mentoring skills, and then hopefully they will go on to lead the program in the future.
Yeah.
And also the people that put in the most got the most out. So yeah, there were some people that dropped out, but they weren't prepared to, because it's not easy. It's not just something where you rock up every month and, you know, twiddle your thumbs. You actually have to think, you have to talk, you have to plan, and you have to learn. So it's challenging, but the ones that came out the other side are so much stronger than when they first arrived.
Yeah. I remember chatting to you about, you said one particular person, she wasn't, I can't remember, what did you say, but she was very shy or she wasn't always up there in leading, leading something. But she, after doing the course or completing the course, she's become more confident in herself and she was able to lead the protest.
Yeah. We've got two people like that, actually. One person, the first year, she told her friend to apply because she was too shy. And she watched her friend do the course and she was really jealous. So when it came to applying for it the second year, she was in there. And she's gone from someone who had anxiety to someone that leads. And she's the person that can answer the questions in her community. The other person that I'm thinking of, I barely heard from her the first couple of months. She was so shy, but she realized that she was in the position where she could effect change. She realized that women in her community couldn't swim, so it was dangerous for them to take their families to the beach. So she went and joined the surf lifesavers at West Beach, and she's now part of the surf lifesaving team, which is amazing. And then when it came to our graduation, she got the microphone and she made this speech that was just mind-blowing. And we were just all looking at her going, really? And that happened a couple of times. People that were really scared of public speaking, but by the graduation, they were in front of everybody and completely commanding the room. And beautiful to see. So yeah, the confidence and knowing that they have a voice and that they are worthy of that voice. I think media and sometimes community can tell you to like, sit down, your time will come later. Whereas we are telling them your time is now and what help do you need? And this is your time. We'll provide it.
Thank you. If I could tell my audience just to recap, just the important points only. ដូច្នោះប្រិមិត្តការជជែកគ្នាជាមួយ Alexandra ថ្ងៃនេះដូចខ្ញុំជម្រាបតាំងពីដើមទីមកគឺយើងជជែកគ្នាអំពីវគ្គសិក្សាខ្លីមួយអំពីភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំបាទហើយដូច្នោះ Alexandra ហ្នឹងគឺគាត់បានបង្រៀនភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំនេះគឺ2វគ្គទៅហើយសម្រាប់សហគមន៍សហគមន៍ពេលវប្បធម៌ណាពួកគាត់ ធ្វើការងារឲ្យអង្គការមួយហើយគាត់បានបង្រៀន2វគ្គហើយបាទឥឡូវដល់វគ្គទី3បាទវគ្គទី3យើងនឹងជជែកវគ្គទី3ប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវយើងគ្រាន់តែជម្រាបអំពីសាច់រឿងដែលគាត់បានជជែកនេះគឺថាសំខាន់គឺភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំចេះមានទំនាក់ទំនងជាមួយសហគមន៍ផ្សេងៗជាមួយថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំអូស្ត្រាលីក្តីហើយនឹងយើងត្រូវចេះចាត់ចែងកម្មវិធីអ្វីមួយឬក៏ចេះនិយាយគេហៅឡើងថ្លែងការណ៍ជាសាធារណៈនិយាយទៅជាមួយប្រជាជនជាសាធារណៈហើយទាំងនេះជាចំណុចនៃរៀនខ្លាយភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំហើយមកបម្រើសង្គមក្តីឬក៏នៅកន្លែងការងារក្តីបាទអញ្ចឹងយើងចូលដល់ចំណុចទី3 Alex, so let's talk about this third program, and it's going to be a tough one for you, but tough meaning it's the funding, but in terms of the module and all that, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Before we go into the funding, if you could tell us the main 3 points that you're actually looking for. Firstly, you said participants, and then secondly, the mentor, and then donation. We go into let's start off with participants.
Yes. So our first program, the funding specified young people from refugee and migrant communities, but our second funding didn't specify that. It just said young people from multicultural communities. So this means we don't specifically have to take people from refugee and migrant backgrounds. We can look at all communities in South Australia who have young aspirational people. And that means we can bring in people from Cambodia, from Vietnam, from Chinese backgrounds, also from First Nations backgrounds. So to build social cohesion, to further understanding in the community and develop community relations. Our mentors...
if I can stop you there, I'll tell our audience about participants. អញ្ចឹងប្រិមិត្តកម្មវិធីវគ្គសិក្សាទី3នេះលើកទី3នេះក្នុងការចូលរួមជាកូនសិស្សហ្នឹងគឺថាយើងអាចចុះឈ្មោះចូលបានមិនថាពីសហគមន៍ណាក៏អាចចុះបានដែរពីមុនគឺសម្រាប់តែសហគមន៍ពហុវប្បធម៌អញ្ចឹងណាដូចលេខគាត់ជម្រាបប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវគាត់ជួយគឺចំអសូម្បីតែសហគមន៍អ្វីក៏ដោយសហគមន៍អូស្ត្រាលីក្តីឬក៏ជនជាតិដើមអូស្ត្រាលីដូចពួក Aborigine ក្តីក៏អាចចូលរៀនវគ្គសិក្សាភាពជាអ្នកដឹកនាំនេះក៏បានដែរព្រោះដើម្បីឲ្យមានទំនាក់ទំនងគ្នាពីសហគមន៍មួយទៅសហគមន៍មួយដើម្បីឲ្យមានភាពស្និទ្ធស្នាលនៅក្នុងប្រទេសអូស្ត្រាលីអានេះគឺគោលការណ៍ដែលគេផ្ដោតទៅបង្រៀន
It's frozen. Yeah, it just says waiting to go live. Oh, I can see.
It's still running as live. I didn't know. I'm just going to turn one off. It's still running. I don't know. It's still. Just give me a sec. Let me turn on Facebook here. Let me. Sorry, give me a sec.
That's okay.
I can see here it's still running as live.
I can't hear you now.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Alex?